On the night that Lord Carnarvon died, Cairo experienced a random blackout. Now that's pretty weird coincidence, or is it the Pharaoh's curse? This dude was an American business mogul and he wanted to use his money to come check out King Tut's tomb as well, so he made a visit but shortly died on May 16th, 1923 from pneumonia. And then about 2 months later, Philip Livingston Poe, he made a visit to King Tut's tomb, and he died shortly after from pneumonia as well. And there was weirdly a newspaper article printed about him visiting the tomb and then getting sick. Ever since his return, his friends have joked with the family about the mummy's curse. Their joking ceased when Mr. Poe, who is a kinsman of Edgar Allan Poe, some days ago became seriously ill. The curse's next victim was Prince Ali Kamal Fahmy Bey of Egypt. Him and his wife visited the tomb in December of 1922. About 6 months later, after watching a play with his wife, he gets murdered by his wife, who shoots him in the chest 3 times. And then just a few months later, on September 26th, Lord Carnarvon's half-brother, Aubrey Herbert, ends up dying from complications due to dental surgery. He hadn't actually visited the tomb, but he was related to Carnarvon, so maybe that was enough to have him cursed. And then about 4 months later, the curse claims the next victim. And that ends up being a radiologist by the name of Sir Archibald Douglas Reed. Now, he never actually went inside the tomb, but he was hired to x-ray King Tut's body, and he ended up dying of a mysterious illness. So things seemed to die down a little bit after that until September 9th. And that's when one of the archaeologists, Hugh Evelyn White, ends up shooting and killing himself while riding in a taxi cab. He was one of the first archaeologists into the tomb after Howard Carter. And then just a couple months later in November, Surly Stack, a governor general of Sudan, he ends up getting assassinated in Cairo shortly after visiting King Tut's tomb. Things seem to die down for about 2 years until 2 French Egyptologists end up visiting the tomb and then dying shortly after. The curse's next victim is an archaeologist named Arthur Mace. He helped remove the barrier that was blocking King Tut's burial chamber. Then, a year later, Lord Carnarvon's other half-brother also dies. And then just a couple months later, on November 15th, Captain Richard Bethel, Howard Carter's personal secretary during the whole excavation, he ends up dying in his sleep. Now, Howard Carter, the guy who found King Tut's tomb, he didn't believe in the curse. Maybe because he was cursed and just didn't want to believe it. But he ended up living to 64 and dying of Hodgkin's lymphoma. But some people think his curse was that he had to watch all of his close friends die.